There is a smell that still lingers in the memory of an entire generation. Warm butter melting over noodles, a casserole bubbling in the oven of a small suburban kitchen, a can opener clicking against steel. For millions of American families in the 1950s, dinner was not just a meal, it was a quiet daily ritual that held together a nation still healing from war, rationing, and uncertainty. But here's the mystery. Why did an entire generation of Americans build their identity around canned soup, gelatin salads, and casseroles nobody fully remembers the origin of? Why did dishes considered strange, even unappetizing by today's standards, become symbols of comfort, safety, and family unity? And why, decades later, do so many Americans feel an unexplainable wave of nostalgia the moment they smell a tuna noodle bake? Something happened in American kitchens after World War II, something that changed not just how families ate, but how they lived, worked, and imagined the future. To understand it, we have to go back to a moment when comfort food wasn't a trend. It was survival, reinvention, and hope disguised as dinner. My name is Nathan Carter. I've spent years wandering through forgotten corners of America, abandoned diners, closed-down grocery stores, old farmhouse kitchens, searching for the stories hidden behind everyday objects. But this investigation is different. This time, the mystery isn't a bridge or a highway. It's something far more intimate. It's what was on the table. To understand the 1950s dinner table, we first have to understand what America had just been through. The Second World War had ended, but its fingerprints were everywhere, including in the kitchen.
Rationing had taught housewives to stretch meat, sugar, and butter for years. Canned goods, once seen as wartime necessity, suddenly became a symbol of modern efficiency. And when soldiers came home and suburbs began exploding across the American landscape, something extraordinary happened. For the first time in history, millions of ordinary families could afford refrigerators, freezers, and stoves with electric timers. This wasn't just a technological shift. It was a cultural earthquake. Picture a young mother in 1952 standing in a brand new kitchen in a brand new suburban home outside Chicago or Levittown, New York. She has a refrigerator humming quietly in the corner, something her own mother never owned. She has canned cream of mushroom soup on the shelf, a product barely a few years old, aggressively marketed by companies eager to convince Americans that cooking could be fast, modern, and foolproof. And she has a magazine open on the counter, filled with recipes promising to make her the perfect homemaker. This is where our first forgotten dish begins its story, the tuna noodle casserole. Simple, cheap, and endlessly reproducible, it became a staple not because it was extraordinary, but because it was reliable. Canned tuna, canned soup, egg noodles, and a crust of crushed potato chips or breadcrumbs. It fed a family for pennies and required almost no skill. In an era where women were expected to manage households with military precision, casseroles like this weren't just food, they were tools of survival in a rapidly changing domestic economy. But here's something most people don't know. The rise of the casserole wasn't simply about convenience, it was deeply tied to corporate strategy.
Companies like Campbell's didn't just sell soup, they sold recipes. They printed them directly on the can label, embedding their product into the emotional fabric of family dinners. It was one of the earliest, most successful examples of what we now call content marketing, decades before the internet existed. Now, let's talk about something even stranger, something that still confuses people today: gelatin salads. Imagine a translucent, wobbling tower of lime jello filled with shredded carrots, canned pineapple, or even suspended shrimp. To modernize, it looks bizarre, even unsettling. But to a 1950s housewife, it represented something powerful: control. Gelatin allowed women to literally shape food, to mold chaos into elegance. In a decade obsessed with order, cleanliness, and modern domestic science, gelatin salads became edible symbols of precision and sophistication. There's something almost poetic about that, isn't there? An entire generation expressing creativity and identity through Jell-O. Before we continue this journey through forgotten American dinners, I want to invite you to join me. If stories like this fascinate you, the hidden history behind everyday American life, consider subscribing, because this channel is dedicated to uncovering forgotten places, forgotten inventions, and forgotten traditions that quietly shaped the nation we live in today. And trust me, there are many more discoveries ahead. Let's continue our investigation. Meatloaf.
And then there's Salisbury steak, essentially meatloaf's more theatrical cousin, smothered in gravy and often served alongside canned peas and mashed potatoes. It became so iconic that it later defined an entire category of American cuisine, the TV dinner. Speaking of which, we cannot talk about 1950s dinners without confronting one of the most transformative inventions in American food history, the frozen TV dinner. Its origin story is almost accidental. In 1953, a company named Swanson found itself with an enormous, unexpected surplus of frozen turkey after Thanksgiving. Desperate to avoid massive financial losses, an employee proposed an idea that seemed almost absurd at the time: package individual frozen meals in aluminum trays, similar to airline food, and market them for home consumption. Nobody expected what happened next. Television was exploding into American homes at exactly the same moment, and suddenly families discovered they could eat dinner while watching their favorite shows, trays balanced on their laps in living rooms across the country. It wasn't just a new product, it was a new ritual. Dinner was no longer confined to the dining table. It became entertainment. Some historians argue this quietly began the erosion of the traditional family dinner table, a debate that still continues today. Others argue it simply reflected inevitable technological progress. Whichever theory you believe, one thing is certain: the TV dinner permanently altered American domestic life. As we move deeper into the decade, other now forgotten dishes emerge. Swedish meatballs served with egg noodles, chipped beef on toast nicknamed SOS by military families, deviled eggs appearing at nearly every social gathering, and creamed chicken poured generously over biscuits or toast. Each dish tells its own story of economic necessity transformed into cultural tradition. But here's the biggest revelation of this investigation, something that connects every single dish we've discussed. These meals weren't really about the food at all. They were about identity, about women navigating a rapidly changing role in American society, expected simultaneously to be efficient homemakers, loving mothers, and modern consumers, all while proving their family's success through what appeared on the dinner table each night. Every casserole, every gelatin mold, every can of cream soup represented far more than nutrition. It represented status, stability, and belonging in a country desperately trying to define what normal American life should look like after decades of war and depression. That's why these dishes still evoke such powerful nostalgia today. They aren't remembered because they tasted extraordinary. They're remembered because they represented safety, the comforting predictability of a Tuesday night dinner in a world that had finally, for a moment, found peace.
Today, food historians and culinary preservationists continue studying these recipes, not as culinary masterpieces, but as cultural artifacts. Community cookbooks from churches and women's clubs across the country are being digitized and archived, preserving handwritten notes in the margins that reveal small, personal stories behind each family recipe. In many ways, these forgotten dinners tell us more about post-war American society than history textbooks ever could. So the next time you see an old, slightly stained recipe card for tuna casserole or lime jello salad tucked inside a grandmother's kitchen drawer, remember, it isn't just a recipe. It's a fragment of a moment in American history when comfort, identity, and survival were quietly, deliciously intertwined on a dinner plate. And that, to me, is what makes forgotten history so extraordinary. It hides in the most unexpected places, even inside a casserole dish. If this journey through America's forgotten dinner tables fascinated you, there's another mystery waiting just around the corner, a hidden chapter of American history that most people have completely forgotten. Join me next time as we continue uncovering the stories that quietly built this nation,
one forgotten place, and now one forgotten dinner at a time.